Hi everyone, my name's Nuala Byrne, and in starting I'd like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the land of the Palawa people of Lutruwita, Tasmania. When given the opportunity to talk today, I considered the question, how would I change the narrative? And to start with, I thought about this from a needs analysis perspective. So what more do we need in order to change the narrative? And in the academic world, where I've spent much of my career, we tend to focus on gathering data to form an evidence base upon which to answer questions. And we tend to look for holes in the current literature and make the case that these holes need to be filled so that we can find solutions. And when the case is made, we apply for research funds to address a hypothesis or a research question, and we design research projects, collect data, interpret results, write manuscripts, receive peer review feedback. And sometimes, after much to and fro, the manuscript is published. And then what? We hope that the findings are of value and that can some way lead to solutions to a problem at hand. And so my changing perspective is that the continual quest for new knowledge may be, in part of the problem. Now, we live in a world of information abundance, and this is depicted in the images in the top of the slide. The ease with which anyone can now access information, particularly through the internet, is unprecedented. But even if all this information accessible through the internet fire hydrant could be absorbed, how much of it would the general public make sense of and know what to do with the variety of findings and instruction and opinion? And how well are the conflicting opinions and proposed recommendations reconciled? And for decades now, I've been working in the field of energy metabolism. And over these many decades, the volume of published work in the field has increased exponentially. For example, if we look up a public health search, a PubMed search, using combined terms such as energy intake and energy expenditure and weight, it reveals that there's over 21,000 manuscripts that have been published over the last 3 decades. And more than half of these have been published in the last decade. But what is translated from all of this research investment? And in a recent conversation regarding the impact of prevention strategies on unhealthy weight gain, a colleague commented that obesity rates have not been impacted by prevention strategies, not because prevention has no positive impact, but because there's not been a real commitment to obesity prevention strategies. And so the comment got me wondering, what if what we wanted to do was change the narrative? Do we really need more data? Or do we need to stop wasting the data and well-described findings already at our disposal and commit to more effective translation and implementation? I wonder if we should stop and ask ourselves, are we there yet? Do we really need more research and evidence base before we can come up with an action plan? Does the action plan need to be perfect before we act? Will any more data really help us decide what action needs to be taken? Or are we at the point of diminishing returns in some areas? And is it time for a little less data collection effort and a little more translation action? So just turning to the next slide. I've always loved this citation from Marcel Proust's book, Remembrance of Things Past. The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. So rather than seeking new research avenues, should we take stock of what we already have and see how we can get the most out of it? How well have many of the existing peer-reviewed research findings been translated into healthcare practice and into policy? And if not, well, why? Maybe we need to seriously consider the impediments to implementation. The existing strong evidence, advice, and guidelines need to be made more accessible, or at least more visible within that internet fire hydrant for individuals seeking support to achieve health and wellness. And we need to demystify the evidence. The weekend before last, I was surfing the waves at Pirate Spade Beach on Eagle Hawk Neck down here in Tas. And I was spoilt for choice with wave after wave rolling in, and I was able to float over the top of the swell, letting many good rides float by, and I was waiting for the better wave. And how good were the waves that I let go? Look, I'll never know. Maybe we need to jump on these perfectly good waves of evidence already available and see how far we can travel, rather than wasting time and opportunity waiting for something we hope will serve us better. Thanks for the opportunity to chat today.